Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday podcast. I'll get that better at that one day. Hope you are all doing well as we are heading into the last embers of October. Um, yeah, October's over. People are doing Halloween tonight. Trick or treating, trunk or treating, all the convincingly Jesus safe alternatives that people label as harvest fests and judgment houses and everything else's. But either way, it's October 31st and people are doing things. Um, I hope y'all are doing well. It's been a month. There's been a lot going on, a lot's happened, and I'm excited just to be able to close this out. Um, I'm not 100% concrete on this, but I'm fairly certain next week will be the first time I've missed doing this in like over a year and a half. Since I started doing this Friday News podcast, I've done it from uh kitchens in North Dakota to hotel lobbies to different spots. And I've done my best to try and always work it out to be able to do this and whatever else I have to do, even if it's a bit of a strain. But next week, I don't know. Unless I do something like uh at like midnight on Friday slash Thursday. I don't know. Uh, because next week I'm flying to New York slash Connecticut to go see the revamped version of the Broadway musical of Almost Famous, which is being performed at in Connecticut at a theater like development place, does good theater there. And it's the first time it's being performed since it went to Broadway. And it's my favorite movie. I love the musical. I really want to see it not be dead. So I'm planning to fly out to Connecticut on Friday morning. I think I've got a maybe a 9 o'clock flight, which means I've got to be in Raleigh at 7 a.m. And Raleigh's an hour and a half from me. And it's just a lot to be able to get there and do it and make it feasible. So we'll see. I might still make it. I might still be able to hop on the internets and do the things. But if not, it'll be okay. I may do it Thursday. I may do it, whatever. But I'll be gone from Friday to Monday. And so we'll see. We'll see. But you're not here for that. You're here. I don't know why you're here, but thanks for being here. I appreciate you greatly. I'm gonna jump on into the news because I've got all the things to do today, which I'm sure you do as well. As we're heading into I for the last decade plus, what's up, man? Have hosted the City of Lumberton's Trunk or Treat event along with the Lumberton Parks and Recreation Department. So I coordinate their volunteers, DJ, do all the things. So I've got to head out that way in the moderately near future, but I sort of slept in, but I also stayed up late cleaning, so it's kind of a balance. Anyway, let's jump into our news for the week. I think I hit this last week, but I'm not 100% certain because I can miss stuff from time to time. But Jelly Roll announced last week, the musician slash occasional WWE wrestler, Jelly Roll announced that he is building a 100-acre rehab facility on his property in Tennessee, and it will be completely free for people to go to. And he'll help them with resources because he struggled with addiction, because he struggled with being downcast in that capacity. He wants to be able to help those who are going through similar things. So that's cool. Nelly Furtado, uh, who may not be like your favorite musician, and I don't know that. Um, I've ever really listened to her beyond her like initial single back when I would have called her a one-hit wonder. But either way, she's retiring from music after 25 years of music because of body shaming with the internet. When she originally hit the scene, she was ridiculously tiny as a person. Now, 25 years later, she's not a tiny person. I wouldn't even call her a big person at all. Not that she needs me to call her anything, but I wouldn't think of her in a negative light looking at her visually. But the internet is mean, and they've said enough mean things to her that she is retiring from music because of body shamers. Um, Newton nearly got in an altercation uh, with Alabama A&M's mascot on the set of First Take, which is, a new show he's doing. Uh, it didn't get there, but it came real close. 21 Pilots had a FPE event, like a fan event, that's almost like a walkthrough museum uh, of their merchandise and some of their stuff from their past and things like that. And because they are such a geeky based band and have lore and all those things, there's a lot of people that are very invested in that. Over the past week, someone stole a historical valuable from the 21 Pilots experience. And so to give you insight on this, during the pandemic, everybody had crazy ideas. 21 Pilots released a song called Level of Concern, which was basically dealing with the pandemic and not being alone. Uh, they set a world record that they will probably hold forever, unless somebody else is just deliberately trying to copy what they did. But they set a world record for the longest continual music video because their YouTube video that they loaded for it was built with an algorithm that it would continually refresh with video clips that people sent them to the song. And there's this whole technical thing they did with it, but they set a world record with this music video. I want to say the video lasted 3 years. And the plot point of the video itself and the imagery for that was that all of this music video was stored on one. Hey man, good morning. Was stored on one jump drive. Well, at the FPE event this past week, someone stole the actual jump drive from the video that, was part of their world record setting video. So fans are pleading because obviously it was a fan that paid to get in there or an associate of a fan. They're pleading to get it back. They put in a place where you can return it, no questions asked, in case you can get your hands on it from whatever diabolical fiend took it. But yeah, they just want their jump drive back. So that's a totally a thing. Uh, with that, if I don't believe I announced this last week, but Nick Mangold, Jets NFL player, died of kidney disease this past week at the age of 41. And 41 is so young and crazy because that's younger than me. And it's just hard to see. Um, Joe Carey, who plays Steve on Stranger Things. What's up, uh, Nerd Chapel? How you doing? Uh, Whenever I see your Nerd Chapel, I automatically like flip-flop between Nathan and you. So, hey man, good morning. Um, but Joe Carey from Stranger Things officiated a friend's wedding this week at a Halloween themed wedding. Um, Eric uh dressed in a full Scoops Ahoy Stranger Things outfit. So Joe Carey officiated his friend's wedding fully dressed like Steve from Stranger Things, which is, a whole vibe because why not have your wedding officiated by Steve from Stranger Things? In sci-fi news, Disney and BBC have parted ways, and that Disney is no longer responsible or taking part in Doctor Who for this for the future. Disney partnered with Doctor Who for 2 seasons and some spin-off stuff. They did the specials for the 60th anniversary we saw with David Tennant turning into Nshuti Gatwa and bringing back Donna and those things. And then we had 2 seasons with Ruby Sunday and the Doctor and Belinda. And lots of things happened. It was very Doctor Who. There were some really great moments throughout the series, but it did not do what Disney wanted it to do. It did not marvelize Doctor Who. It did not make Doctor Who a cash cow. It came with controversy, to the point that Ncuti Gatwa left because of the negativity. Y'all, we know how to ruin things. We know how to be insensitive and rough with that. So BBC and Doctor Who have parted ways. With that being said, BBC has announced that their Doctor Who is not over. They're not done. There will be there will be a new Christmas special next Christmas, 2026. Before that, there will be a mini series spin-off that probably doesn't actually have the Doctor in it called A War Between Land and Sea, which is stacked with really good British actors. Uh, People who have previously been in David Tennant era Doctor Who, as well as just a load of British dramas. But A War Between Land and Sea was supposed to premiere next year. Instead, it's going to premiere in December this year. So if you are still a Whovian and you're still trying to get your hands on something Who-ish that doesn't involve a Grinch, then you will have that opportunity this December with the BBC. You might not be able to watch it on Disney Plus. You might have to find a creative outlet around that, but it's going to be happening. War Between Land and Sea will come forward, and currently we don't know the status of what's going to go forward with Doctor Who, but presumably speaking, Billy Piper slash Rose Tyler will be the Doctor in the Christmas special in 2026. Just based on the last regeneration that we saw. Yeah. Brad Paisley has now set up a track record that he may not want to keep. But Brad Paisley has now set a precedent that when he sings the national anthem, you're going to get the longest baseball game in history in the World Series. There have only been two 18 plus inning games in the World Series ever in history. Two 18 plus inning games in the World Series ever. And Brad Paisley has sang the national anthem at both of them. So if Brad Paisley sings at your event, it's going to go way longer than you plan on. So depending on what you want your event to be, keep that in mind. Oh, Amazon is looking to replace in the future, from now on into the future, more than 500,000 jobs with robots and AI. This also came within 14,000 Amazon workers getting laid off this week, mostly over text. Um, that's the worst kind of breakup, and they're doing it with Amazon um, to try and reduce redundancy and uh, partisanship and political issues and everything else. It's not a great look, and it's a bad loss. Um, the last concert of 21 Pilots' Clancy Breach Tour took place this week, putting the band on a hiatus outside of specific instances like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction and some festivals that they are signed up. They are not touring with their own tour for the foreseeable future. Also, at their next to last concert out of their whole tour, two adults were kicked out of the concert for being too adult with each other at the concert, which is a whole thing. Why? Mm-mm. But either way, that happens. In wrestling news, one of the things that I discovered this week that I had no knowledge of is that the famed wrestler Bray Wyatt and Ben Wyatt, like the Wyatt brothers and everything else that have been there, their father is Mike Rotunda, which I grew up watching him as a wrestler called IRS Erwin R. Shyster. I had no idea that they were related, like the Wyatts and or IRS were related, and that he's their dad. I can totally see it in his face now. But IRS has been placed in hospice care this week at the age of 67. So they're expecting him to pass somewhere in the near future. So with their family, just some prayers with that. And what I wish was a joke, but it's super not a joke. In Mississippi, uh, a truck crashed carrying aggressive lab monkeys that were carrying hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID. So, aggressive lab monkeys carrying hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID escaped after a truck crashed in Mississippi. Many of them were destroyed, like were caught and destroyed. Um, but as the last time I was collecting news, there was still some monkeys about. Mumford and Sons, not resting their heels at all, have announced a new album called Prize Fighter, which will feature Hozier, Gracie Abrams, and a few other people. Um, and their last album wasn't even, it was new in March. So they're, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be dropping this album within a year of the previous album. Um, but Prize Fighter will come out on February 13th, 2026. And you can hear the new first song from that album called Rubber Band Man with Hozier, which I think I mentioned last week. Uh, it's been announced that White Lotus season 4 will be shot in Paris at the French Riviera at five-star hotels there, and will likely unfold into the south of France. So if you're a fan of White Lotus, probably in a year or some change from now, or 2 years from now, you're going to get a season four, five in Paris. Yep. This weekend, I believe it's this weekend. No, sorry, December 9th, um, in South Bend, Indiana. Dave Pilkey, the creator of Captain Underpants and Dog Man and all those things, are attempting a Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of people dressed as comic book slash graphic novel characters. And so they're looking to make this happen on December 9th at the Moore Center for Performing Arts in South Bend, Indiana. So, Captain Underpants, Dave Pilkey, they're trying to get the largest collection of comic book slash graphic novel characters. And I think it's specifically, um, it's going to be part of attached to Dogman the musical, which is a thing. Um, but yeah, they're encouraging people to come be a part of that. Limp Bizkit, it's so weird having news about Limp Bizkit like in this time in life. Limp Bizkit this week was number one on the Billboard Hot Hard Rock song chart with their classic song Break Stuff that people were saying was a tribute to their bass player that passed away this past week. Um, so Limp Bizkit was number one on the Hot Hard Rock charts in 2026 with a song that I was definitely listening to in high school or college. Um, NC State has announced a new program that guarantees community college students admission to NC State University. So if you go to a community college prior to NC State, you're guaranteed admission to NC State, which will be beneficial for folks because it's a lot easier to get into one than the other. And, that's good. That's a good program. Um, a couple this week had the surprise of their life. The As two people were in the middle of their wedding, Sharik and Jessica Burgess Stride were getting married in New Zealand on the set of the Hobbit movies from the OG Hobbit movies or the Lord of the Rings movies. They flew to New Zealand. Their whole family went to New Zealand. They were all dressed in Hobbit gear and they were getting married outside the Hobbit holes in New Zealand. And in the middle of their wedding, in the perfect timing of it, Elijah Wood walks up and joins their wedding and even goes up to talk to the bride and groom during their wedding ceremony. Apparently, Elijah Wood had just flown back to do something Hobbit related, and then you can watch the video of him interrupting their wedding, saying, "Oh, this is amazing! Everyone's dressed as hobbits." And so Elijah Wood actually crashed their wedding in the best way possible. And listen, if you got enough love and time and money for Lord of the Rings that you have your wedding in New Zealand and Elijah Wood crashes your wedding, you're probably happy about it. So, congratulations to Sharik and Jessica Burgess for that. Bible sales doubled in the last month. From September until this weekend, Bible sales across the country have doubled. And monthly Bible sales uh, have gone, yeah, the monthly Bible sales, which this is a lot of Bibles being sold in a month, by the way. Monthly Bible sales have gone from 1.2 million to 2.4 million in a month. So Bible sales completely doubled, and that they have been coming across at almost a 36% incline steadily since. So I reported last week the whole Louvre robbery that took place. There have been seven suspects to date that have been arrested in this conjunction with the crown jewels that were stolen. So far they've gotten seven suspects. To my knowledge, no one has been charged, but they've arrested seven suspects. Um, for whatever reason, and I get it, it's the marketing, it's the planning, all the things. Ren Collective, which is one of my favorite bands, dropped a Christmas album today. Christmas in Belfast is out today. If you are a Ren Collective fan and you're ready to kickstart my heart and my soul to your if you're ready to kickstart your Christmas season, Ren Collective's got a brand new Christmas album just for you, Christmas in Belfast. In other music news, NF has announced his new EP Fear, which will release on November 14th with six new songs. So, NF hasn't dropped anything in a couple years. I'm gonna say 2 years now. His last album was actually wonderful. Um, Happy and Mistake are steadily in my stuff, and I think that whole album was kind of a banger through and through. But Fear drops November 14th with six songs from NF. 1KP also dropped a new album called What's Understood 3 with 17 tracks on it. So if you're a fan of 1KP, you've got plenty to listen to. There is a deluxe edition pre-order for Resident Evil Requiem, which now comes out on. February 27th. So if you're looking forward to the next installment of the Resident Evil franchise in video game format, it's coming sooner than probably anticipated, but February, we're getting Resident Evil Requiem, which is nine. I think it's part nine in the series. If you are a fan of Animal Crossing and you want to pick up your OG Switch and play. There's a new update for the Switch, which is bringing new museums and resorts and costumes. You can even wear Zelda costumes direct from Nintendo in Animal Crossing. That's just an update on your Switch version of Animal Crossing New Horizons. If you want to upgrade your Switch version of Animal Crossings to Nintendo Switch 2, it's $5, and then you get updated graphics, the ability to talk to your friends in real time, have up to 12 people on your island at a time. There's a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you want to check that out, you want to transfer that over and more than just play the old version, there's also only $5. I feel that's pretty reasonable, especially for all the content you would get. Um, Sting will have a Super Bowl branded concert 2 nights before the actual Super Bowl, and this is an NFL sanctioned concert, an NFL Super Bowl pre-concert 2 days before the Super Bowl, and tickets start at $750 a piece. People have been this. There has been photographs in the wild of a first ever white Iberian lynx out in the wild, which has been considered extinct for some time. And now it's been photographed, and people are genuinely kind of freaking out and thinking it's like a bad omen. Um, yeah. Over 127,000 pounds of pulled pork have been recalled this week for pieces of plastic found inside. Um, from Deli Express. Deli Express pulled pork, 127,000 pounds of it were recalled for plastic pieces found inside of it. So I don't know if I've ever even seen that, but or Deli Express, but it's out there. Be cautious if you're randomly eating packaged pulled pork. Yellowstone creator Tyler Sheridan and Peter Berg will co-write the upcoming Call of Duty film. So if you're a fan of things like Sons of Anarchy and Yellowstone, these are the guys that are going to be writing um, your Call of Duty movie. Uh, Tomorrow is a big day with the things going on with our government shutdown. People that receive SNAP benefits and food benefits, their stuff will cut off tomorrow by everything that I'm seeing. I did see something that North Carolina might get an exception or it might be funded in different ways. But either way, 42 million Americans depend on this, and that's going to be changing tomorrow. So be cautious, be aware, be supportive, help where you can. Um, Hurricane Melissa happened this week as well and absolutely ravaged Jamaica. Category 5 hurricane, winds of up to 175 miles an hour. Good morning, Dot. Um, yeah, that was rough with it. And I know that there's going to be support going from the world all around it, but keep your ears to the ground if you want to be able to be a part of that. Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle, who's also now a either a NASCAR driver or F1 driver. I feel NASCAR, but either way, he drives a car and he goes fast. Um, Frankie Muniz revealed that he found his relationship with God because he was driving somewhere and the only radio station that he could get to play was K-Love. And like the songs were specifically hitting stuff that he was struggling with, and he felt like, okay, I get it, leave me alone, and kind of pursued a relationship with God after that. So it's just a cool, like it's. I know a lot of people like to poo on K Love, and that can be one of them, but it has benefits and it does good things sometimes. There was a clip last week that went viral after a pastor. Um, by not by his definition of it, but it was a video shown that he condemned a woman for donating $1,200 to the church, not $2,000, and that he gave her flack or negativity for that. Um, and since then, Tyler Perry of Medea and all the other things donated $100,000 to this project, to Bishop Marvin Winans of Perfecting Church in Detroit. Um, yeah, I don't know. I've always felt weird. I don't even like rock that way. Like when we do church, we don't even pass buckets or anything. We're like, hey, there's a donation box at the back if you want. QQ. Um, it's probably why I'm in a poor church, but I've just never felt cool with like passing buckets and loving it. Just not a fan. Um, on donations, our military received a $130 million anonymous donation to keep paying the military through the government shutdown. China is now requiring social media influencers to hold a degree in any topics they discuss online. The law went into effect as of October 25th, and if a influencer is online speaking authoritatively about a subject, they're required to hold a degree in it, or they can be fined or arrested. As a policy to try and slow down misinformation. This week, there was also a 6.1 magnitude earthquake that hit Turkey and collapsed a lot of buildings and damage there as well. According to dictionary.com, the official word of the year for 2025 is 6-7, like that whole thing. Uh that's the word of the year. And if you're over 30, you probably don't know what that means without somebody under 20 explaining it to you, and it's okay. They don't really know either. But it was a thing, and now it's dictionary.com's word of the year. Last year's word of the year was it was that thing that TikTok sound. Um, demure. Yeah, demure was last year's word of the year. Um, if you might be a little late to catch it for Halloween, but if you're a fan of the spooky and you're in the Carolinas, uh, let me say this right. Coffin House Coffee is a coffee shop that is located inside of a funeral home in Concord, North Carolina. It is a functional, actual existing funeral home. Um, and they have a spooky themed coffin coffee shop in the funeral home in North Carolina. So here's the deal. I feel like I'd be okay getting coffee from there, but I wouldn't want to go to that funeral home to have my loved one process while people are ordering macchiatos. That just feels weird. Hello, Kelly. Good afternoon. Um, there is a animated movie of David uh on the run from Saul, that will be coming to theaters in on December 19th. And because of how Angel Studios and all those like things work with donations, they've paid it forward, um, so that while supplies last, every child gets in free with an adult. So that can be a free going experience if you bring your kid to go see David. And that's my news. That's all I got news wise. Um, Events and stuff. I will, again, I might not be doing this next week because I'm flying and I don't know how I'm gonna viably pull that off yet. But uh November 15th, I'll be at Camp Grace in Fairmont, North Carolina for their jamboree. I'll be set up with the booth and the books. And then, to my knowledge, unless God provides some crazy opportunity. My last Faith and Fandom event for the year will be November 22nd at Row Comic Con in Reidsville, North Carolina. It's going to be at a church, so there's going to be a lot of Jesus in there too. Um, but it's at, I want to say, New Lebanon Church in Reidsville, North Carolina. But there's going to be some good artists there. Fangirling Over Jesus is going to be there. Kingdom Geeks are going to be there. Marshall Lakes is going to be there. And they're also still looking for vendors. So if you're part of my nerd Comic Con community and you're looking for a place to go vend, Rogue Comic Con is open for you. Um, that being said, I am working towards having the next bite-sized book of 100 devotionals ready to go at the first of the year. Working on that. Um, I've got 10 chapters of a D&D book down, and I might put that as a first snippet for people to pick up. Um, or I'll try and release a whole book at the beginning of the year. But Lord willing and the creek don't rise and all those things, there'll be a new project from Faith and Fandom out by the end of November. I'm going to leave it at that. It's a surprise project. Um, Somebody kind of lovingly broke bad on me to get it done, so I'm getting it done. Um, it's just, time and focus, which is always the issue. But there should be a new project that I think a lot of people will enjoy and benefit from potentially if I can get it done in time by the end of November, if not sooner, maybe by Thanksgiving. Um, but yeah, those are some things in the works. Medically, just to keep y'all updated, I've got another uh, consultation with a spinal surgeon on Wednesday. If things go the way I expect them to go, the spinal surgeon is going to tell me not to have surgery and to just be nice to my body and try to go as long as I can without getting it. Um, I could be wrong. He could be like, get on the table. I don't know. But that's kind of the case of what I'm expecting. Um, yeah. So let's do our uh roll for initiative Bible reading, which I didn't list in the thingy, forgive me, but yeah, we're doing that too. All right. And then I'm gonna go start getting ready for all the shenanigans for the night. Okey doke. Ooh. All right, let's see what we're rolling, see what we're reading. If you're new to this, what we do is we roll a dice to choose if we're reading Old Testament, New Testament, or the whole Bible. Then we roll to pick a chapter, and then we read that chapter. All right, let's go with the black one for today. All right, we've got fist for the Old Testament, scissors for the New Testament, and paper for the whole Bible because paper covers everything. All right, let's see what we're reading. I should not have a grumpy face because it's the Old Testament again, but cool, cool, good talk. All right, so we're reading. We need uh we're gonna roll two D20s and subtract one. And that'll give us the potential to have 1 through 39. So let's roll two D20s and see which book of the Old Testament we're reading. We got 18 and 3. So we'll subtract one. We are reading the 20th book of the Old Testament. See what that is. Unless you're smarter than me and know that off the top of your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Proverbs. Okay, Proverbs. Good talk. Um, that's page 78. And Proverbs has 28 chapters, I believe. 29. I was wrong. 30. 31. It's 31, not 28. I knew it was like one for every day of the month, but I was thinking February. All right, so 31. So we need a D20 and a D12. And we'll subtract one, and that'll tell us what we're reading. We are reading Proverbs chapter 16. All right, so Proverbs 16. All right. I love Proverbs 16. Um, Hi, gang. Gang says hi. Um, what y'all dressing as tonight, by the way, Kelly? All right. Proverbs 16 is actually one of my favorite proverbs, so rock on. Um, to humans belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the proper answer of the tongue. All a person's ways seem pure to them, but the motives are weighed by the Lord. And that's one of the ones I always hit is like literally just because you think it's a good idea doesn't mean it's a good idea because your heart can make a bad situation sound like a good idea. Verse 3 says, Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Being able to actually say, All right, God, this is what I'm shooting for. Will you please make it work? Um, Verse 4 says, Lord works out everything to its proper end, even the wicked for the day of the disaster. Verse 5 says, The Lord detests all the proud of heart. Be sure of this, they will not go unpunished. Mm. Through love and faithfulness, sin is atoned for. Through fear of the Lord, evil is avoided. Hmm. When the Lord, I have a pen. There we go. Uh, when the Lord takes pleasure in anyone's way, he causes their enemies to make peace with them. Verse 8 says, Better a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. One more time. In there, verse 9 is one of the verses I speak on more often than anything. Proverbs 16:9 says, In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. The reality is this: a lot of people sit back and they wait for God to give them a direction, and they're sitting around forever waiting for God to show them something. This tells us that it's our responsibility to have a direction, submit it to God, and let God plan their map, plan the route. If you don't have a direction or anything you're actually pushing for, you can't expect God just to force feed you something. Um, oh, nice. Ging's going to be a vampire and you're going to be a plague doctor. Cool, dude. Um, but if you don't have a desire, if you don't have something you're submitting to the Lord, you can't expect him to give you directions. That's like getting in a cab and saying, you know where to go. It doesn't work that way. You've got to say, take me to this address, and then you let the cab driver or the Uber or whatever plan the route. You've got to be able to say, here's what I'm aiming for. Please pan the steps. And God will often, even if you don't end up at the place you're aiming for, he'll use those steps to get you where you need to be. Verse 10 says, "The lips of a king speak as an oracle, and his mouth does not betray justice." Verse 11 says, "Honest scales and balances belong to the Lord. All weights in the bag are of his making." Kings detest wrongdoing, for a throne is established through righteousness. Kings take pleasure in honest lips. They value the one who speaks what is right. A king's wrath is a messenger of death, but the wise will appease it. When a king's face brightens, it means life. His favor is like a rain cloud in spring. How much better is wisdom than gold, to get insight rather than silver? The highway of the upright avoids evil. Those who guard their way preserve their lives. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be lowly in spirit with the oppressed than to share the plunder of the proud. Whoever gives heed to instruction prospers, and blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. The wise in heart are called discerning, and gracious words promote instruction. There we go. Called discerning, and gracious words promote instruction. Prudence is the fountain of life to the prudent, but folly brings punishment to the fools. The heart of the wise makes their mouth prudent. Their lips promote instructions. If you smart, you'll shut up. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. Hmm. There is a way that appears to be right, but in the end it leads to death. This is a throwback to uh, a previous verse that is in the same chapter. Um, where was that one? It was in here. Um, all a person's ways seem right to them, but the Lord, or their motives are weighed by the Lord. That's verse 2. Verse 25, 26 says, "The appetite of laborers works for them, their hunger drives them on." Verse 27, it says, "A scoundrel plots evil, and on their lips is like a scorching fire. A perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. A violent person entices their neighbor and leads them down a path that is not good. Whoever winks with their eye is plotting perversity. Whoever purses their lips is bent on evil. Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained the way of righteousness. Better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. The lot is cast into the lap, but every decision is from the Lord." Um, so I enjoy Proverbs. There's a lot of good stuff with them. Um, like when you look at Solomon's life as a whole, um, there's a lot of stuff to take into consideration. Um, but I think it's good to do. Mark my little. We just read Proverbs 16 tally. All right. Before we bounce out, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. Ooh. Jessica Luttrell from Cosplay Over Christ, Jackie Kraft, Kelly Townsend, Alan Wallace, Fab Quack, Rivka and Tristan Birch. Fab Quack, by the way, I haven't forgot your stickers. I'm working on that. Rivka and Tristan Birch, congratulations on your recent acquiring of that really dope free ran Funko Pop. Um, Dorothy Martin Winston, hi, you're on Instagram. Michelle Stewart, Michelle, you've been doing a lot of good stuff on TikTok lately as well. Um, I'm right-handed. I'm right-handed. Yeah, this is my right. This is my left. Um, uh, the camera might be reversed. Um, Miss Lynn Turner, David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, and Adam Davis. Thank you all for doing all the things that you do to encourage, to support, and to be the light in the way that you are. I greatly appreciate y'all for all that you do, and literally couldn't do what I do without the support that God's provided through you. Um, and for y'all that have asked about medical stuff and everything else right now, y'all been a big blessing. And I promise I will keep you relatively updated. Um, it's definitely not like I keep everything real close to the chest and don't ever share burdens. Yeah, keep me accountable. Ask me about the new project, even though you don't know what it is. So I keep working on it because I want to get it out by Thanksgiving. And um, but yeah, got surgeon meeting on Wednesday. Fly out to New York or Connecticut on Friday, and I'll be back Monday of next week. But yeah. Oh, I'm also DJing um for a Chick-fil-A drive-through for a couple hours on Thursday. So if you want to come to Neon Night and do a little rave in the parking lot, roll on. But thank you all for taking the time to listen, to encourage, to support, and it means more than you could ever know. And I'm gonna read the verse that I've been reading every time until I memorize it. I should know it by now, but I also keep bouncing between translations, just because I haven't had my actual Bible with me at the house in a minute. But 3rd John 2. Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. Thank you all for taking the time to listen, and I hope to see you all at a con real soon. Bye, y'all.